and welcome to my book nook. For those that are new around here, the name's Rainy. I teach music and I also read books, mainly thriller and horror, but I read all types of books. I don't just exclude any genres. So if you're interested in that, please like and subscribe down below. It'll really help my channel grow. You might hear my son in the background because he's singing songs right now, but it is okay. We're going to push forward. So I have my wonderful, the one with the TBR February challenge, my Friends themed TBR game board. It's based off of the exact trivia game that they do inside of Friends. I'll link the playlist down below. You can check out the rules, all that fun stuff. The main gist is I roll 5 times, I read some prompts, I get some books, and we see if we can make it work with the current TBR that I have. And I really pray that we can, because I have a very lofty February TBR and I don't see much hope. I really don't. But first, let's talk about the books from last month. Okay, so let's talk about this. On this list, out of 7 books that I had to read, I finished 2. I'm currently reading 1. I DNF'd 1, and then I didn't get to 2. I didn't get to Beach Read, and I didn't get to Senlin Ascends. Beach Read is still on my radar. Senlin Ascends is going to be some other time. I did read Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey and loved it. I did read The Awakening, or I'm finishing The Awakening, Book 1 of Zodiac Academy by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. I'm in the middle of that, but I'm going to finish it. I did finish Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier. Had a fantastic time with it. And I DNF'd The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. That book was just not for me. I was trying, friends. I was trying, and I did not like it. So that's what it is. But I think that's pretty good, all things considering. I only didn't read 2 of the books. So you know what? That's the win. All right, we're going to go into February. And like I said, I hope I can get books that match my TBR, because this is my boy band's readathon themed month. So I have a lot of books I have to read for my own readathon I'm hosting with my friends. I'll link a playlist under there if you want to check that out. And I'm also doing RomComAthon, which Michelle's Library and a lot of other people are doing. I'll link a playlist video to under that for that. And yeah, let's just get to the rolls. All right, we're going off to a good start, because 33 is Ancient History, which is a romance, and I need to fit romance into this for RomComAthon. So now I got to go get a blue prompt, and we'll see if we can tie that in too. All right, I don't have very many blue prompts left before I have to like restart. So let's see. Read a book out of your comfort zone. I don't really know what that means. I feel like I don't have an out of my comfort zone when it comes to romance, and it's supposed to be romance. So we're gonna put this back and we're gonna try something else, because I don't really have an out of my comfort zone for romance. All right, let's try read a book with magic / about magic. Oh dear. Okay, let me check my romance stack. I don't think any of them had magic in it, unfortunately. I feel like this is pushing it, but we're gonna go with it, because I made it work for last month, and that is Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and that is the second book in the From Blood and Ash series, which I read the first one last month, and I really, really loved it. It is a fantasy romance, okay? It says paranormal fantasy romance. Paranormal, meaning there's magic and crap in this, okay? So, anyway, I'm just gonna go with it. If you don't think it works, oh well, it's my TBR. And I need to get to this, because I am following along in a readathon that Honest Fiction and a couple others are doing, and I've read the first book, and I actually really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. You'll find out soon in my wrap-up. And this one is about almost 600 pages, so 200 pages more than before. It's okay. All right, roll 2. All right. So 27 is also a romance, thank goodness, because like I said, I got a lot of romance to read this month for RomComAthon and other things. So I'm going to pick a pink prompt. We'll see where I am. All right, we got read a book with all of the letters of your name in the title. Mother frickin' father. Well, would you believe I didn't have a book with all the letters of my name in the title for romance? If they had a Y, they didn't have an R. If they had an R, they didn't have an N. If they had an N, it didn't have an I. So I narrowly escaped that one. So we will try again. Read a book with the word girl, lady, or woman in the title. I'll probably have more help with that. I only had 1 for this, and I'm not going to lie. This is pretty at the bottom of the totem pole. But we'll see if I get to it. And that is Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is the only romance I had that had girl, woman, or lady in the title. And so this one, it says, is a TV meteorologist and a sports reporter scheme to reunite their divorced bosses with unforecasted results in this electrifying romance. And they are the same person that wrote the X Talk, and I gave that only 3.5 stars because I didn't like the ending and how they portrayed, like, the woman. I feel like they kind of, like, took a lot of her power in the end. I did still enjoy that, though, and it was a pretty quick read. And I'm sure this will probably be good. I've heard this has good representation of someone that actually struggles with, like, anxiety and depression. So I'm interested to read it in that perspective. But I cannot honestly promise you that this will get read. But it's on this list. So we'll see. All right, roll 3. Okay, so 40 is an orange, and it is Fears and Pet Peeves, which is thriller and horror. I do have a couple of those that I want to get to this month. So let's see. Let's grab my orange stack and see what we get. Okay. Read a book with 2 people on the cover. Okay, let's go. Of course, this was not on my list either. However, I could read this. It's pretty short, and I have wanted to read it for a while. So I'll probably read it. And this is Suburban Hell by Maureen Kilmer. It has 3 people on the cover. And so this one is basically about this girl that she moves to the suburbs. She becomes friends with, like, this domestic, like, socialite group. And one night, during a monthly wine get-together, they make this clubhouse a she-shed in one of the girls' backyards. And they find out that it's kind of actually... the she-shed is on top of some weird magical thing and, like, some demonic stuff, possession stuff happening. I've heard good stuff about this and I've heard bad stuff about this. But I love domestic drama, as we know, so I feel like this is going to be a good time. You better not let me down. On to roll 4. So 25 is It's All Relative, and that is sci-fi fantasy, and that is also an orange. And I didn't have that much fantasy for this month, but we'll give it a go. Read a book with green on the cover. Okay, I feel like that's promising. We'll be back. I feel like I'm just pushing the limits on all of the books to try and make at least one fit my prompt. And so we're going to go with Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. And if you look really carefully, that is a green... if it'll focus. Maybe not. A green pendant. You could argue that that's blue, but I'm going to go with green. And it has green on the cover. Anyway, I need to read this for my boy band readathon. So it says this one is basically, Amari Peters has never stopped believing her missing brother Quentin is alive, not even when the police told her otherwise. And when she finds a ticking briefcase in his closet containing a nomination for a summer tryout at the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, certain the secretive organization holds the key to locating Quentin, if only she can wrap her head around the idea of magicians, fairies, aliens, and other supernatural creatures being real. Now she must compete for a spot against kids who have known about magic their whole lives. No matter how hard she tries, she can't seem to escape their intense scrutiny and doubt, especially once her own supernaturally enhanced talent is deemed illegal. With an evil magician threatening the supernatural world and her classmates thinking she's an enemy, she's never felt more alone, but if she doesn't stick it out and pass the tryout, she might never find out what happened to her brother Quentin. I have not heard one single bad thing about this from anybody, and I don't read middle grade. I'm a little scared, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm excited too. On to roll 5. Okay, so 35 is also an orange, but it is literature, which means historical fiction and literary fiction. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't have any of that on my TBR. So I'm getting a little worried that we be adding books to my TBR. Here we go. Read a book you could finish in a day. Questionable, but okay. A book that I could finish in a day that's either historical fiction or literary fiction would be Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, which this is like the cutest little size of a book ever. And I'm pretty sure this is about a magical seat in a cafe where you can, if you wish, go back in time, but you can only stay back in time until your coffee goes cold. And it's just like different little short stories. And I actually got this as a present from my friend Brittany from Bestie's Book Club. So I'm very excited that I'm finally going to be getting to this. And I hope that it is a good time. All right, on to the final roll. Roll 6. Okay, 29 is It's All Relative, which is another sci-fi fantasy. And in this one, we're doing a yellow prompt. I have so many green and we never get green prompts. I don't know. All right, here we go. Free choice. Oh, thank God. Okay, do I have any sci-fi fantasies on my list that have not made it yet? Let me check, and then I'll come back to you. All right, I am making the Besties Book Club book selection for February. That one. And that is The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. We are finally reading the Throne of Glass series, and we are starting in chronological order with the 5 novellas in The Assassin's Blade. And I'm very excited to get to this. I don't know a lot about this. I just know that it follows an assassin named Selena Sardothian. And in this one, it's the first 5 novellas that basically offers a deeper look into the history of this cunning assassin and her deadly world. And it's a prequel to Throne of Glass. So that's what we're going to read. And I'm very excited to get to this. And thank God it fit on this prompt. All right. Friends trivia time. All right. 30 seconds on the clock. 5 questions. Here we go. Who offers a home for Rachel's $1,000 cat? Gunther. Rachel buys a cat. What is its most distinguishable feature? It doesn't have any hair because it's a hairless cat. In Las Vegas, what freak show worthy discovery does Joey make? Oh, that he has a hand twin. What does Ross use as a makeshift engagement ring for Emily? An earring. While in Las Vegas, where did the friends stay? Oh, dear. The Casino Royale. Oh, no. And stop. All right, let's see. Gunther. It's hairless. He finds his identical hand twin. His earring. Caesar's Palace. I did it. I had 4 and I did it. I don't have to roll again. Yeah, yeah. So these are the books that I have to read this month. And only, I believe, 3 out of the 6 were on my TBR to begin with. So now we're going to talk about books that I'm reading this month that are not on this list. Okay, so one of the first books that I'm reading is for the Boy Bands Readathon that me, Neva, Brittany, and Crystal are hosting. Like I said, I'll put a playlist underneath this if you want to check out what our video is about. Thank you. Go, go, go. And this one is called Forbidden by Tabitha Suzuma. It is for the prompt, read a book with a heart on the cover. And this one is about siblings that end up becoming so close that they end up falling in love with each other. And before you get, hold on. And before you give me crap about this, I've heard it's a fantastic, beautifully, tragic story. Even Gabby Reeds has read this and said it was fantastic. So you know what? Don't give me judgment. I don't care. But I'm going to read it. And that's that. Also reading for my team's buddy read for Team Backstreet Boys, We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. I'm trying to get through his backlist and see how it goes. I don't really know what this one is about, actually. It says, every morning Chris Pulaski wakes up in hell. In the 90s, she was the lead guitarist of Dirtwork, a heavy metal band on the brink of success, until the lead singer went on a solo career and rocketed to stardom. Now he works as a night manager, or she works as a night manager of a Best Western. She's tired, broken, unhappy. One day everything changes. A shocking act of violence turns her life upside down, and she begins to suspect that Terry sabotaged more than the band. She hits the road, hoping to reunite Dirtwork and confront the man who ruined her life. Her journey will take her from the Pennsylvania Rust Belt to a celebrity rehab center to a satanic music festival. A furious power ballad about never giving up, it's an epic journey into the heart of a conspiracy-crazed, pill-popping, paranoid country that seems to have lost its very soul. I didn't know that there was going to be a satanic thing in this, so that scares me a little, but I'll still read it. I'm also reading Amari and the Night Brothers for my boy bands prompt, which I already had on here. Then for a new romance author for me, which is in my boy bands TBR, I'm reading Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I've been wanting to get to this for forever, and all I know is that it's a toxic love story between BJ and Magnolia, and it is also a Friends to Lovers book, which works for the prompt that I need for it for RomComAthon, so it's going to work for both. I'm just so beyond excited to read this. I have my annotation stuff ready. I am ready and raring to go. Then we have for the prompt, read a book with either the word back, way, or want in the title. Taylor Jenkins Reid's book, Carrie Soto, is back. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. She's an all-time favorite author for me. I have loved everything I've read from her so far. And so I knew that I had to read this because I gave Daisy Jones a 5, I gave Malibu Rising a 4.5, and I gave Evelyn Hugo a 5. And so I love her. And this one is her tennis one. And it has Carrie Soto, who was in Malibu Rising. So I cannot wait to get to that. It's Carrie Soto, who basically is a very popular tennis champion, one of the best in the world. She's won all these many Grand Slams, all of this stuff. She goes into retirement, and then a couple years later, she has to go out of retirement because this new up-and-comer is breaking her records. And she's like, oh girl, I can't have that, even though she's really too old to be trying to re-break her records. But whatever. I'm just excited to get to this. Then we have for the prompt, read a book outside of your go-to genre. I chose nonfiction, and I picked the wonderful memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I've been wanting to read this for forever. It is about Jeanette McCurdy from iCarly and her tragic upbringing with her mom. and what it's like to be a child star actor and also have an eating disorder and all this other stuff. So she narrates it. Thank goodness. I have the audiobook for it, and I'm so flippin' excited. This next book works for 3 different prompts, and that is Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun by El Cazamano, the 3rd book in the Finlay Donovan series. And I am reading that for the Buzzword Challenge by Books and Lala. I'm also reading it for her Literally Dead book club. I am also reading it for my boy band prompt of a book set in Florida or the Southeast. Because this is set in Virginia, and that is like right at the line of Southeast, so I took it as that. And I'm not going to give you an explanation as to what's happening in this one, because that'll ruin the first 2 books. But if you haven't read this and you love cozy mysteries, make sure to get to it. And those are all the books that I'm reading for my boy band one, and then we'll move on to RomComAthon books that I'm reading for that. So a book that I don't actually own yet, and I plan on getting to soon, is Do I Know You, which is by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca, I believe. They wrote The Roughest Draft. It's like a real couple in real life. And they wrote The Roughest Draft. I loved it. It was a 5-star. This is their new book that is a second chance romance and read in dual POV. So I'm reading that for 2 prompts for RomComAthon. It's also the buddy read for that week. And I don't know a lot about it. I think it's about a couple that they're kind of on the brink of divorce, and they decide to go on this vacation. And when someone thinks that they are a new couple, or that they don't know each other, they kind of start to act like they don't know each other, and it makes their relationship fun again. And so we'll see how we are about that. And I needed a book that featured a wedding, and so I chose The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. So I'm just getting my Christina Lauren fix right now. And this one is about 2 sworn enemies that go on a Hawaiian trip of a lifetime. I'm pretty sure the whole wedding party gets poison food or food poisoning. And they end up, they're the only 2 that aren't affected. And so they decide to take this honeymoon. Otherwise, the honeymoon goes to waste. And of course, it's a love story between 2 people that don't love each other. So, you know, there you go. Can't wait to read it. Then I needed an Enemies to Lovers book, and so I picked Stolen Heir by Sophie Lark, which is the 2nd in this Brutal Birthright series. They are all Enemies to Lovers mafia romance books, and this one is about Mikolaj, who's from the Polish mafia, Nessa, who is from the, I'm pretty sure, the Irish mafia, and she is very young, and he's way older than her, so it's also kind of age gappy, and he kidnaps her to be his bride, or like his captor. It's like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it's actually apparently a really good one. So I'm really excited to get to this. I'm buddy reading this with Neva because we both love this series. So that is what I'm reading for that prompt. And then I needed a prompt for a book with a person of color main character. And so I chose Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I've been looking forward to reading this series for a while, so I'm glad I'm finally getting to this. And this one is about Chloe Brown. She's chronically ill, and she has this entire list of like a bucket list of stuff she wants to do before she like dies and like gets a life. And she ends up doing some of these with Red Morgan, who is a handyman that works at her apartment, and she ends up just doing the stuff with him. And they're a ragtag duo that ends up being in love, I'm pretty sure. And so I'm very excited for this. I did soft DNF this forever back, but I think it's time to give it a second chance. Then I am also reading, which I don't own right now, and I will get it later, is Zodiac Academy, the 2nd book, Ruthless Fae. I'm continuing on with that Instagram buddy read, and I'm not going to explain what it's about because that will just ruin it, but it is a bully romance, and it's continuing on. I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm going to make sure that I get to the second one. And then for Gabby's book troop, I'm reading Nana by Brandon Massey, which I don't know anything about, so I probably should look that up. It's about Monica Stevens never knew her birth mother. Raised by a strict but loving adoptive parent, she blossomed into a woman with a thriving career as a pediatrician in a family of her own, but sometimes she wonders about her origins, especially her biological mother, until Grace arrives. Confessing to be the birth mother she long wanted to meet, she becomes an indispensable member of her household, cooking their meals, looking after the children, comforting Monica when the family dog is killed, tending to Monica as she falls ill to a mysterious illness that every day makes Monica look and feel older. Meanwhile, Grace is looking better, more vibrant, more youthful, more seductive. Her husband, Troy, knows something is up. He launches an investigation into the woman who demands to be called Nana and has taken over his home, but the truth is beyond their wildest imaginings. It seems like Grace has done this before. I'm all excited for this. That sounds so good. I'm reading this for her book troop, and it's just gonna be good. Then for reading Riley's Midnight Society, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little scared because I hated Mother Thing, the January selection. But this one is only 140 pages, so I thought I'd give her another try. We are reading Plastic Monsters by Daniel J. Volpe, and this one says, beauty is pain, but for Pamela Rose, beauty is everything. She spends every day and almost every dollar fighting a losing battle against nature. When a young coworker comes to the office with a new set of breast implants, Pam's delicate psyche begins to crack. Dr. Joseph DeBiro used to make art from flesh and plastic, but after his release from prison, the only thing he's handling is a broom. He knows he has more to give to the world. He's not done creating beauty. He just needs the right patient. As the madness unwinds, Pam and Joe find themselves performing vile acts from which there's no return. Will they save their souls or succumb to the monsters living inside of them? Sounds interesting. We'll give it a whirl. Why not, you know? And then I am also reading for the Pretty Girls Book Club, which is run by Haley Hughes, The Prisoner by B.A. Paris. And I'm not going to lie, I thought that this one was going to lose to Magnolia Parks, and I was hoping it would so that I wouldn't have to read yet another book. But of course it didn't, so, you know, it is what it is. But we're going to read The Prisoner by B.A. Paris. And this one says, Amelie has always been a survivor, from losing her parents as a child in Paris to making it on her own in London. As she builds a life for herself, she's swept up into a glamorous lifestyle where she married the handsome billionaire Ned Hawthorne. Now, but then Emily wakes up in a pitch black room not knowing where she is. Why has she been taken? Who are her captors? Why does she feel safer here in prison than she'd begun to feel with her husband, Ned? That sounds really good. I'm sure it's great. I'm excited. And that's all the books I'm trying to read in February. And I am not going to lift this stack because it will fall over on me if I even try. But there's like 19 to 20 books on here. And yes, Homegirl knows that is not realistic. And I'm probably not going to get to even half of them. But we are going to give it our best shot. So anyway, let me know in the comments down below. What are you reading this month? Are you joining Boy Bands Readathon? List your TBR down below. Are you joining RomComAthon? List your TBR down below. Let's all read together, shall we? And with that, I will see you in my next video. Bye!